You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, and it's Monday, so let's go beyond the box score with our regular commentator, Jackie Ray. Jackie Ray, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. It's Monday. Good to be here.
Yes, rainy days and Mondays always get me down, but it's good to talk to you and see you. I know you've probably seen by now the viral video clip of the women who were going at it, fighting, punching, boxing between the NC State and Syracuse game, fans in the stands. It's not new that there's a fight in the stands. It is new that it's two women squaring off. You know, they're sizing up each other. They square off and then they start throwing blows. One gets knocked out and there are some 35 people around them with their phones taping it. They know that they're going to end up on the internet. They know that it's going to end up on what we call world star hip hop or what have you. Am I missing something? Is this just what we are now as the people?
I think so. And that was the first takeaway I had from this. One of the things that stood out for me, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, is when these two women are standing there facing each other. Everyone had already cleared out. Everyone knew that a fight was about to break out. No one tried to break it up. Instead, everyone made sure that there was space for the fight to happen so they could get a good shot
on
of the
bleachers.
Fight.
Who fights on bleachers? These are, look, I haven't been in a lot of fights in my life, but none of them on the bleachers because you have unsteady footing at all times.
Right. And shout out to the woman who was smart enough to get the high ground. She took the high ground first. You always want to take the high ground. She had her hands behind her back. They were just, talking trash. And my thing is always this. We see this more and more and more, that people are fighting more. Obviously, I think one of the reasons why we're seeing it more is because cameras are readily available more. Everyone has their cell phones and no one is inclined to de-escalate a situation. Everyone is inclined to go viral and record the situation, which speaks to the dumbing down, I guess you would say, of the human condition a little bit more than anything. But at the same time, it was with the conversation that these two more than grown. These were not children. These were very, very grown women.
Late 30s, maybe 40s.
Maybe 40s, right. These two grown women were having, there was never the thought process of, this is a game that has, no matter what trash was talking, you have no stake in the game. There's not going to be a single deposit made into your account at the end of the game. You get no takeaway from this game. And it is, again, just a game. And so when you see two adults who have an inability to de-escalate the situation, I think it speaks to a really bad state we are in as human beings, especially here in America.
It's weird, and I'm going to send it out on my Threads account right now at Mr. Mo Kelly. You have one woman who has the high ground. She's wearing bell-bottom jeans, and the other woman is wearing leather pants. Like they're both dressed like they're going to the club, not a football game. Here's my point. You dressed up to go to the game.
Yeah.
Why would you then participate in something which is completely opposite how you dressed up to go to the game? When I saw this video, I'm thinking like, okay, it's going to be two women in like jerseys and shorts or something. No, it wasn't like that. They were two nicely dressed women who you would think would be out of place at a football game. But for some reason, the liquid courage felt the need to start coming to blows.
Yeah, my mom would call it, these women were dressed to catch. That's how they went to the game. They were dressed to catch. And there were plenty of men standing around in that situation. One thing that stood out to me is there was a man who ultimately tried to go and break it up. He was ear to ear, Kool-Aid smile the whole time. He thought it was so funny. Again, this is not a funny situation because the girl who got socked, now she initiated it. She hit the woman that had the high ground. She hit her hat off. So she did initiate the fight, but she got knocked out. Not only did she get knocked out from the initial blow, she hit her head on the bleachers. I would never put myself in a situation where I'm a whole adult woman who probably has a job that now I got to go into work on today. And everybody has seen this video. Would never do that.
That's if you keep your job because you show up in the wrong video.
Right.
Working the wrong job, you can be fired. And here's my thing, not to overanalyze it, but I'm getting ready to overanalyze it. Once you put your hands on someone, I don't care if it's to touch their chest, to knock off their hat, to touch their face. The moment you touch someone, the fight has begun. And you should know that whatever's coming back your way is probably going to be worse. You cannot touch someone and expect them not to haul off and slug you. And that's exactly what happened here.
Right. It's like the lessons we learned in kindergarten. Do right, be nice, and keep your hands to yourself. We learned everything we needed to know on how to operate in society in kindergarten, and I don't know what is wrong, but this happens time and time again at professional NFL games, basketball games, baseball games, people who have absolutely no stake in what's going on the field. The people who do have a stake on the field rarely behave like that. And when they do, it's kind of funny to us because 9 times out of 10, it either never escalates to that point or it's the NFL and you got too much padding on for it to really mean a difference anyway. But these are people who get paid to do it. And so it's just an interesting time to me that we are seeing this. It used to be one-offs. It used to be where we would be like, ooh, that was crazy. Now it's a common occurrence, and that's what's concerning to me.
I wonder, well, I don't wonder because I know there are some people who go to the game looking for a fight, looking for an escalation. And there are those people who are like me, just want to go to a game because I want to see the game. I'm now less inclined to go to these large sporting events, especially of a football type, because fights are always breaking out. I mean, I love my Rams, but I know if I go to a Rams game, there's a good chance there's a fight that's going to break out. Having nothing to do with me. I could just be collateral damage.
I'm inclined to be a house bunny, stay in the house all the time because this happens everywhere. I've seen it. I've seen people get in arguments literally in the self-checkout line at Target, which I blame that on Target. Y'all need to have more checkers there, but that's another story for another day. But the self-checkout, I've personally witnessed this. People are constantly on edge, and I don't know why that is.
Here's where it is. I believe it's a combination of our politics, our lack of social interaction. We don't respect one another as people. We see other people as less than, be it because of political, be it because of ethnic, whatever. We don't see a common humanity in one another. This was the through line that I would think. And so you're a little bit more eager to haul off on someone because they are on the other team, be it political, be it sports, or be it something else. That's what I think it is. Do you think there's any truth to that?
I definitely do. I think that people just operate inside their own little bubble, their own little circles, and anything that is outside of that is fair game. It used to be when I was a kid, when you would go to the games. I remember distinctly, this is before I came to glory and abandoned my Dallas Cowboy fandom. But I remember when I would go to the games in Denver in all of my Cowboy jerseys, and then there'd be all these Bronco fans that were talking trash to me. Cowboy fans would come out of nowhere to my aid, like, hey, don't mess with her like that. It used to be this, you could go to a sporting event to find camaraderie, to find new friends, and now you have these lifelong bonds. Now it's every man for themselves, and I don't like it.
When we come back, I'm going to keep it in the realm of football. You probably know about the Miami Dolphins quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, who's had more than a few concussions. And there was a discussion when he had his most recent, whether he should retire. And I always leave that to the player to decide. But it seems like he may come back and play this season. I got a problem with that, and I got a problem with the Dolphins organization. We'll talk about it next. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're still talking football, and we're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, he's had a number of concussions, and I say a number because we'll never know exactly how many.
Right.
Because we just know that he's been tested for a few. He's had a number of incidents on the field with concussions and concussion protocol. He most recently had one in week 2 of the season, and there was a discussion whether Tua Tagovailoa should retire at that point. We know about CTE. We know about concussions, how it can contribute to brain degeneration later on in life. Tua Tagovailoa hasn't said anything about coming back. But here's my issue. Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says that he expects the quarterback to play football this season. Am I reading too much into that, or is the Dolphins organization / head coach out of line?
I think that's a great question because ultimately what is happening, in my opinion, is the head coach is in communication with Tua. That is why he is saying he's expecting him back. And so this is one of those situations where I I'm with you. I blame the Miami Dolphins organization. I blame the head coach, and I also blame his agent, because sometimes anyone who's watched football for a length of time, you know that these players would prefer to be dragged off the field, literally take their last breath on the field. So you really do have to have people who care about the players and their well-being in place to protect them from themselves. And there is no way that you are paralyzed on the field twice, which every doctor has told. Everyone knows more about CTE now because of Tua, because we've seen him literally lose consciousness in a paralytic state. And doctors have said this is a sign of traumatic, not slight, traumatic brain injury. And he has had that 2 times, and he's had to be out for a significant amount of time 2 times. And so those, like you said, those are the 2 times that we know about. The mini concussions, we already know that 99% of football players who die once they're tested, 99% of them have CTE. So that means they've been concussed times that they haven't gone through concussion protocol. So when you add those 2 major times to the ones that we don't know, now you're talking about quality of life when you get older. And I've seen this. I know several football players, they hit 35, they might as well be 85 because of the condition of their body. And I just don't think that it's right for someone in a position of authority to put the well-being of the team over the well-being of the individual.
The reason why I specifically question who is the guiding force in all this is because if you follow the story, you know that Tua Tagovailoa, after suffering all these concussions in the 22 season, said in the 2023 season, he considered stepping away from football for a time due to the impact of the head injuries. So when he has a major one this season, why would he then do an about face and come back 4 or 5 weeks after the fact? That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I understand he's in his mid-20s. He probably has other people who are financially dependent on him. I got that. And I understand that pressure. I just don't understand or agree with the organization being louder than the quarterback himself right about now.
Right. And that's the other thing we've talked about several times on this show is a lot of these players, unfortunately, they came from nothing. So now they get a little bit of money, and that's the end all be all. They're not looking down the line. I think the NFL, actually every professional league, should do a lot better in offering financial literacy to players, because again, Celine Dion is how old now before she just had to announce to people that she can't really sing anymore?
Right.
That's not the NFL. Your window is very, very short to make a bunch of money.
Let me dovetail that point. People may not know, in football, contracts for the most part are not guaranteed money. So when Tagovailoa agreed to a 4-year contract extension in the offseason worth $212.4 million, not all that money is guaranteed. I'll say maybe half of it is guaranteed, meaning the team can cut him and he's not going to get most of that money. So there is an incentive to play even while you're hurt, as you were saying, Jackie Ray, because it's different in the NBA. Once you sign that contract, you can fall off the face of the earth. And unless you void the contract or violate the contract, you're still going to get that money. Not the case in football.
And I've talked to, again, a lot of football players about this, and I have asked them, what is your thought process when you are doing these CBAs? You know, when you're doing these
collective bargaining agreement. So they know.
Collective bargaining agreements. What are you thinking? Because there's no way somebody who runs up great cardio. I love basketball, but it's not nearly as physical as the NFL. There's no way guys who, yes, when they have injuries, they sometimes are really bad, but 9 times out of 10, they can come back. And 99% of the time, it doesn't really mean that they're going to be almost wheelchair bound at 40. It's not the same thing. So why aren't you using your voices and saying, no, if I'm going to have this 900-pound dude running full speed at me, I need a guaranteed contract. That's a whole nother story for another day. But I am disappointed in every single individual if Tua comes back, everyone around Tua, from his family, friends, agent, coaches. I am disappointed in everybody, because one of the things that I love about my circle of friends is I won't have that. I can't make that big a bonehead decision without my friends being very, very loud about, and it's going to make me think twice, because I know that these people love me and they care about me and they want the best for me. Money's not the end all be all. I would rather have a little bit of money and have great quality of life and can run around and play with my goddaughter than have a bunch of money and have to watch everybody else play with her from a distance.
But it's very complicated without getting too in the weeds. I don't know if Tagovailoa has played long enough to qualify for the NFL pension. He's still in the early part of his career. And also, I don't know what type of benefits, if they get anything relative to that collective bargaining agreement when it comes to long-term health care, because I know that the players have been fighting for that, but I don't know where they are in that fight. And Tagovailoa may be okay, air quotes, today, but like to your point, when he turns 45 and he sees a change in his brain chemistry, what type of health care would be available for him later on? Those are the things which I think are not discussed enough, and that's what scares the bejesus out of me. But I also know it plays into the equation why he's considering coming back.
Well, he can't be considering coming back for the health insurance because the NFL has some of the worst health insurance after they retire on the planet.
Yep.
You'd be better going to work at In-N-Out and getting health insurance from them. And I'm not even being funny. But again, I think sometimes this is what spawns from a capitalistic society. Money rules everything. So, but I just don't, that's not how my life operates. I would rather be happy and healthy and be able to live the life that I want to live than to have a bunch of money so I can pay people to take care of me.
This sounds like a horrible story ending waiting to happen. Jackie Ray, thank you so much for coming on with me. Unfortunately, I wish we had better topics to discuss with a little bit more of an uplifting feel, but it's not always like that in the world, is it?
No, it's not.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I don't think I've had a landline phone this century. I think it was maybe in the late 1990s that I finally got rid of my landline phone. One of the best decisions I've ever made. I know people tell me all the time, well, in the event of emergency, you want a landline phone. It goes straight to I get all that. I'm saying I have not needed a landline phone since the 1900s, as they call them now. And I have not regretted it. I've hated AT&T, SBC, whatever they were back then, since that day, because they were trying to sell me a landline phone with internet, and I just wanted the internet. I didn't want the landline phone. So I said, forget you guys. I'm moving on with my mobile phone. Back then, we called it a cell phone. And then, the rest, as they say, is history. But there are some people who still have a landline phone. My mother not only has one, she has two. I have no idea why she has two. But she has two landline phones and a cell phone. And if you were to ask me, you didn't, but I want to tell you anyway. If you were to ask me, I suspect that most people who have a landline phone are probably on the older side. Probably. I don't know if anyone under the age of 30 is endeavoring to get a landline phone. By and large, I'm sure there are exceptions. But did you know the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they've been studying for the past 2 decades the traits of Americans who hold on to their landlines and contrasting them to people like me who cut the cord and rely exclusively on cell phones. You may be interested to see where you are on this spectrum. Let's see if this is you, Mark Ronner. You look like you have a landline.
Is that right?
Yeah. Landline holdouts are more likely than wireless converts to own a home. They are more likely to live in the Northeast. They are less likely to smoke and less fond of binge drinking. Landline owners are more likely to wear seatbelts, to exercise, and to carry health insurance. To me, that just sounds like they're trying to say landline owners are all about safety.
I think landline owners are more likely to sleep with their teeth in a jar next to them.
Right. You're not wrong. Here's some statistics. Fewer than 1/4 of Americans still have landline phones. Put another way, more than 3/4 live in homes without landlines. 76% of adults and 87% of children as of 2023 live in homes without landlines. And my home would be one of them.
This is why you have to regard any poll with extreme skepticism, because the people who respond to polls are generally people who pick up their phones
who have
and who have
landlines.
Yeah.
And that was part of the polling error going back to the 2016 election, where they were basing data off of people who responded to polls who had landlines, because as of that point, they had not changed the polling structure to include non-landlines.
Yeah, huge grain of salt, because you and I, if we see somebody calling and we don't recognize the number, no way are we answering it, let alone taking a poll. I don't have time to, who wants to do that?
Older people, because they want the attention. I'm being serious. They just want to talk to someone.
I agree.
By contrast, 20 years ago, only 5% of Americans were wireless. 5%. So basically, at the turn of the century, thereabouts, consumers began to ditch landlines. In the 2000s, as consumers canceled home telephone service, researchers worried that their surveys might miss people who had given up landlines. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about, because we're not answering the phone for people we don't know. I remember when caller ID was invented. That was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It took out a lot of the guesswork with who's calling. It's like, I'm not answering that call. No, I'm not picking up. And then you wait for your answer machine to pick up. You listen if they leave a message and you get to hear the message. Gone are those days. If you call me on my cell phone, smartphone, whatever you want to call it, if you're not in my contacts, give it up.
My favorite thing on the smartphones is that when people leave a message, now you can just see automatically a text version of the message.
Oh,
you don't even have to hear their voice if you don't want to.
I love that. And I know I've said it before, but I have to remind people, if you leave a message with something like call me back, no. If you're going to leave a message, even if it's a text, you better tell me why you're calling. I'm not going to call you and waste time out of my day to find out why you wanted me to call you.
Yeah, unless we're on like a Navy SEAL special ops team, you don't just get to call and say, call me back.
Nothing's
that important.
Not even my own family. I tell that to my family members. I have someone in my family who I'm not going to name, brother-in-law, who always will just say, hey, call me. No.
State your business.
State your business. And then I can place you in line of importance. Okay? It might be an emergency. It might be something which is, I can call you tomorrow. It might be something where I can just text you information. For example, someone may say, call me back, and all they want is the number for so-and-so. Well, I could have just texted that to you and been on about my way.
Remember the old days when people used to just call each other up to talk?
My mom still does that. Just call me to talk.
I want you to thank me for never once doing that to you ever.
No, but we will text late at night like we're lovers.
We do, but I never just call for no other reason than to talk. I had like a couple remaining friends, one's dead now, who would just call to talk for a couple hours with no agenda, just calling to talk. That is such an alien thing now. I don't want to do that.
It is. And maybe I'm in the wrong business because I need to be more social in this line of work. But there are a lot of times, like, for example, if I'm not on the air, I have no desire to talk physically at all.
Exactly.
And I don't want to talk to anyone.
We're not on all the time. This is when we're on.
And it's only a fraction of the day overall. But when you talk 3 hours, you don't want to talk the other, 20. Go ahead, Stefan.
And just so the audience knows, the whole texting at night thing is very true, because there's days where I wake up and it's like 12 or 14 texts. I'm like, who's texting me this much? And then I see it's a back and forth between Mark and Mo.
But we have different sleep schedules.
Yeah.
And I may text Mark at 11:30ish or something. He's still not even off yet.
No, I'm on the graveyard shift.
But he may not see it until he wakes up, goes home, wakes up the next day, and he'll respond. Because he gets into other stuff.
Well, you don't need to make it sound like that.
No, I'm just jealous. That's all. You just, just pay
What is
attention.
that? Pimping? What other stuff?
But my point is, we live in a text world. I don't need to hear your voice to communicate information. And I think vice versa is true. So, when you look at going back to the story, talking about how people have cut the cord and how, according to their findings, and I'm just paraphrasing, the people who still have landlines are responsible adults. They wear their seatbelts. They have health insurance, things of that stuff, and that may or may not be true, but that's not consistent with my life. I cut the cord because it was better for me personally and professionally. Well, I was spending, and it wasn't economical. I was spending a good $60, $70 a month unnecessarily for a phone that I never used because no one ever called me on my landline.
No, you don't need two phones. I'll tell you one thing that I miss, and I'm too old to be doing this now, but one thing that I miss about landlines and those old clunky phones with the handset, I miss destroying them in a fit of anger. And I can't be the only one who's ever done that.
I've wrecked a bunch of phones being mad at so-and-so and so-and-so. And this is what I do miss about the old landline phones. And Mark, I know you know this. There was something super satisfying about hanging the F up on someone and having to feel that the anger and pressure of the clank of the phone going down.
I'm so glad you said that because it was very satisfying to slam a phone receiver down into the cradle. That's just like the perfect end to an argument.
It's
Kaboom.
not the same when you just push a button and go, boop. What's that? And the person may not realize for another, 30 seconds or so.
Very unsatisfying.
If that could ever bring back the landline, it would be just for that, so I can hang up on someone real nastily.
Yeah, that's the OG rage quit.
Good times. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mo Kelly here. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Your horoscope for the week. How the powerful full moon in Aries influences your zodiac sign. Aries, with the moon in Pisces helping you to get your priorities straight, working hard feels easy. Consider how you can get ahead early on in the week. The moon in your sign on the 15th recharges you, as in tomorrow, allowing you to get things done before the full moon officially takes the stage on the 17th. As the moon moves into Taurus on the same day as the full moon, you can give yourself a lot more attention and care. The moon in Gemini on the 19th helps you to brainstorm new ideas before the upcoming week. Taurus, through the lessons you have learned during this Libra season, the moon in Pisces starting the week can help you get recognition for your hard work. As the moon moves into Aries on the 15th, you are more open to listening to what your body needs during this potent full moon. Once the moon enters your sign on the 17th, it will feel very healing and will prepare you for this upcoming Scorpio season, giving you opportunities to reconcile with others. Gemini, you ready, Gemini?
Bring it.
Things get a lot more interesting with the moon in Aries on the 15th tomorrow, making the collective see the fruits of their labor and what can be done to get closer to our dreams. On the 17th, we will experience the full moon in Aries, Venus entering Sagittarius and the moon in Taurus. The full moon can make this a vital moment where you reconnect with friends and your goals.
Wait, who enters who?
As the week closes with the moon in your sign, the relationship energy intensifies with Venus in Sagittarius in opposition. Have fun with people you love and channel your creative energy. That's the takeaway.
Well,
Have fun.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Cancer. The moon in Aries on the 15th, Stefan, energizes the highest point in your chart, readying you to tap into your inner warrior during the potent full moon on the 17th. What's up? What is it, as opposed to an impotent?
Yes. Very potent.
Eclipse season has made cardinal signs a lot more active, mindful, and tactful. With the moon in Taurus on the 17th and Venus entering Sagittarius on the same day, this is a good moment to restructure your plans to elevate in academia or your vocation. Things settle down on the 19th with the moon entering Gemini, giving you a moment to breathe and relax. All that entering tires you out. Leo, the moon in Pisces at the beginning of the week helps you let go, move forward, and make a lesson plan before the full moon on the 17th. The full moon in Aries and Venus in Sagittarius make a trine to your sign, showing you that anything is possible and you have all the resources needed to succeed on the same day. The momentum continues on the same day as the moon enters Taurus, making this a good moment to go at a slower pace and plan. With the moon in Gemini on the 19th, you can see how your close friendships energize you, especially with Venus now in a fellow fire sign, bringing excitement and the potential for adventure. Virgo, your relationship house becomes more exciting with the moon in Pisces intensifying it. The full moon in Aries on the 17th, that'll help you measure your successes and gives you insight into what brings you joy and how to learn to pursue what you want. As the moon enters Taurus on the 17th, you can see how you've grown as a friend and mentor to others. The moon in Gemini, beginning on the 19th, allows you to fulfill your goals with your career. Libra, exploring new horizons with the moon in Pisces, well, that brings you closer to your objectives. On the 17th, the moon in Aries makes you charming and focused on winning during this full moon transit. Venusian energy energizes you on the 17th, with the moon in Taurus helping you do something thrilling and exciting with someone you care about. Wink, wink. It can be a good time to get back to work on a personal project. On the 19th, the moon in Gemini allows you to analyze the power and control dynamics in your relationship before the next week begins. Scorpio, Twala, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Romantic energy warms you early in the week, with the moon in Pisces making you more flirtatious and alluring to others. On the 17th, the full moon in Aries adds intense Martian energy that can help you make breakthroughs in your career or school. When the moon enters the sign of Taurus on the same day, it helps you have deeper conversations with friends or romantic partners. During the weekend, this coming weekend, the moon in Gemini brings some optimism and focus to close out the week.
Nice.
Close out the week strong, Twala.
Nice.
Strong like
Twala's
bull.
going to score. That's the upshot.
That's what I think they're saying.
I think, yeah. I am going to Kiana's wedding. You never know.
Oh, yeah. Like half the station is going to producer Kiana's wedding up north. We'll post pictures. Maybe Twala will get lucky.
That's what those things are for. Yeah, he's guaranteed to score.
I hope not, because I'm going with my wife. That wouldn't be good.
Hey, no.
But you're jealous?
No, I'm just saying, I don't want to be put in a situation where I might score.
Understandable.
You know, someone's telling her to listen to this.
Sometimes I just want to see. Look, Mark, I can't speak for the long-suffering one, but invariably some of my wife's friends will listen, and they always run back to her to say, "Did you hear what he said?"
Oh, yeah, the long-suffering one doesn't listen. Are you kidding me?
But does she get feedback from other people?
No, I've managed to completely isolate her from all of her friends, like John Derek.
That is a gift. How did you do that?
You like that?
Yes. John Derek, that was a nice pull.
It's a little bit of a deep cut.
No, but say there's a lot of truth in what you say when you talk about John Derek, if you know the story of John and Bo.
Well, I mean, you also reach the age where your friends all, get married and have families and have so many things to do family-wise that they just aren't available anymore. That's just a natural part of growing up, unless you're some Peter Pan weirdo like I am.
You said it. Sagittarius, mutable energy fills the sky on Monday the 14th, as in today, as the moon in Pisces helps you connect with your dreams. I'm living my dream. What are you talking about connect? I'm already here. You can trust your intuition during this time, since it will connect you with your past. On the 17th, the full moon in Aries adds fiery energy to get your motivation up. Oh, motivation is what they're calling it.
Hello.
On the same day,
Boing.
Venus enters your sign, making the next several weeks a good period to fall in love with yourself. I already love myself. No one loves me like some me.
Just not in front of anyone,
I
please.
love me. I love me. Say me name. Say me name. Ooh. The moon in Taurus will also grace the sky on the 17th, which helps you establish a solid routine. Metaphor. On Saturday, the 19th, the moon in Gemini allows you to connect with your partner and form deeper emotional bonds. Capricorn, getting more creative comes easier earlier in the week, with the moon in Pisces bringing forth inspiration and meaningful connections with friends or colleagues. Although the full moon in Aries on the 17th will light up the lowest part of your chart, it can help you work on your plans and goals. On the same day, the moon in Taurus makes a trine to your sign, helping you elevate and feel more self-assured. Communicating and collaborating with others is easier with the moon in Gemini this weekend. Aquarius, Pisces energy can be a good opportunity to become more mindful of your energy levels early in the week. As the full moon in Aries takes control on the 17th, taking control comes easy. The moon in Taurus on the same day provides a dynamic energy that helps you build on your foundation with a lot more trust and purpose. Air energy comes to uplift you this weekend, with the moon in Gemini sparking your curiosity and intelligence. You may be more optimistic about love and might even be willing to reminisce about prior romantic experiences. And closing out with Pisces, the week begins with the moon in your sign, a confidence-boosting transit that allows you to keep your eyes on the prize. As you continue to evolve through the Saturnian transit, your motivation is more pronounced, with the full moon in Aries on the 17th. Getting plans in order comes easy with Venusian energy in the moon in Taurus on the same day, followed by Venus in Sagittarius. The week closes with the moon in Gemini beginning on the 19th, helping to ground you and helping you settle into your power. And that is your horoscope with respect to the powerful full moon in Aries this week.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.